welcome to episode number 32. This is Amy with DNK Saturday night live stream. Today we're going to talk about what angel investors want to know before they start investing in your company. So we're going to talk about this particular topic today, right? For all those who do not know me, my name is Dilnawaz Khan. I'm founder of Co-Design Labs and PowerDeck, and uh, in this session today, we're going to talk about uh, as I said, basically what investors want. I'm going to help you understand, go really, really deep and help you understand what investors are looking for in your company once you reach out to them for investment. So this is what we're going to talk about today, right? So let me help you set the context first before I jump into giving you my understanding, my knowledge, and information about what I believe, what I think, what investors are looking for. Also, one important thing, what makes me eligible to talk about this topic, because I run a company where my full time job is to work with startup founders, where my full time job is to work with entrepreneurs, where my job is to help them create a pitch deck, create a story, create a narrative, and then enable them to go to investors and pitch. And therefore I sit on not only a lot of juries, but also I technically work on both the sides of the table. I work with founders, I work with investors, and I make sure that founders are able to fulfill what investors are looking for. And therefore, as I said, I have also been onto multiple juries, whether it is National Startup Awards, whether it is Startup Uttarakhand, whether it is Bitch Plani. I have been onto multiple juries at multiple point in time. So therefore I have seen this very, very closely. I do for my bread and butter, and therefore, knowing this is very important. And this is one thing I have understood. I have learned from my experience that there's a huge mismatch between a lot of founders' expectations and what investors are looking for. And this is something what we're going to talk about in this session tonight, right? So if you're watching me, make sure you drop a thumbs up in chat, you interact with me in chat. The reason why we have put up the chat live, so that you guys can talk to each other, communicate with each other, also throw your questions. So the context behind this entire session is that there's a huge mismatch between founders expectation at what investors want. Tonight I will help you to understand this from a deeper point of view. Now, why does this mismatch happen? Let us understand that. Why is there such a huge mismatch between founders' expectations and what investors are looking for? The reason is, let me help you and tell you these three reasons why I think, at least in my experience, what I realized, the three reasons why I think the mismatch happens. Number one reason why the mismatch happens is that the founders don't know what investors are looking for and what is making them to invest in a company. So not knowing what investors are looking for and why should they invest in the company. So founders have no idea. They think that investors want them to start up, therefore they'll fund them, but that is not the case basically, right? Investors have an absolutely different mindset. Investors have absolutely different expectations. Founders are founders technically need to align themselves with those expectations if they successfully want to raise money. So number one reason why this happens is because the founders do not know what investors are looking for, and they don't even know that what investors are expecting before they even invest in their company. Second reason is that not having an investment ready or a scalable business model. Now, I've spoken about this multiple times. Every business is not a startup, although every startup is a business, but startup is a subset of a bigger entity called business. Now the problem is, not every business is scalable. A business like a cafe, a business like a brick and mortar business, a business like a mom and pop shop, a business like any lifestyle business for that matter, cafe, restaurants, hospitality, they are not rapidly scalable business. Now I'm not saying these businesses cannot raise money. Of course, any business can raise money, and any and every business can go and raise money uh, at a different stage and in a different format. But what generally we speak in the world of startups and startup ecosystem, that founders are looking for equity money, and a lot of businesses or business models are not scalable business models, therefore the equity money cannot be given to them, right? And generally this disappoints startup founders. The point is, you as a startup founder, you as a business owner, you need to understand whether your model is even scalable or not, or whether your model is even fundable or not from equity point of view. This is a huge mistake a lot of first time entrepreneurs make. They think that we have a business, we can go and pitch to any investor, and they'll give us the money, they'll fund the money. But then, the expectations do not match. They keep on pitching to investors and they don't get money, and therefore they get disheartened. So therefore this should not happen, right? Now, another third reason, another is that there are lot of myths around startup funding, right? I have previously done a lot of videos on this. You go and check out my YouTube channel. There are previous videos I've done on this. There are AMA sessions that I've done on this. There are so many myths and misconceptions and problematic things about startup funding, that founders believe every company is fundable, which is a very big problem, right? So entrepreneurs have a lot of myths in their mind, which is not a great thing, basically, right? So what I want to do is, I want you to first of all take a note of this. It is going to be a very informative session. Make sure you have your pen and paper and notepads handy, and you are making down the notes with me as and when I explain. But before I go into today's session, before I jump into today's session, make sure you go out there and watch these two previous episodes that I'm going to talk about, because these episodes will also help you in understanding a lot of context where I am coming from and what today's session is based upon, right? So number one video I want all of you to go and watch is everything about startup pitching, right? The reason why you go to an investor is to raise money. The tool that will enable you to go to investor and raise money is pitching and pitch deck. If you don't know how to make a pitch deck, if you do not know how to create a fantastic pitch deck, if you do not know the art of pitching, it will be very difficult. So go and watch this video. This is episode number 5 of Aim with DNK, everything about startup pitching. Go and watch this video if you haven't done so. I can assure you, every possible information, every possible thing that I know about pitching, I have poured into this 1 hour video. Go and watch that. Second video I want all of you to watch is Art of Fundraising for Startups. In this video, I have broken down a lot of things from the investor's point of view. Consider today's video to be like a sequel of that video. Tonight we're going to go deeper. Tonight we're going to go and talk about more important topics. Tonight we're going to talk about more elaborative topics. But if you want to understand the basics, go and watch this video. It's almost like 1.5 hour video. Art of Fundraising for Startups. This one particular video, my friends, cover almost everything that I know about art of fundraising for startups. Go and watch that, right? So 2 videos, you must go and watch them, right? But now coming back on to what we're going to do, what we're going to do tonight. So tonight we will be talking about 3 things you need to be ready with while reaching out to investors. What is that value chain? What are those things that you need to be ready, what you need to have with you so that you can go out there and pitch to investors? Second thing you need to be ready with is that common, and this is what I'm going to tell you tonight, common and obvious questions you're expected to answer. I have find a list of questions that I think are the most important set and bunch of questions. It's just like preparing for any other examination. If you are ready with all these answers, and I'm not saying write these questions and then cram them up. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is be mentally prepared. Be prepared that you need to that you might get these questions, and be prepared that you might have to answer them. And if you are a experienced entrepreneur, if you're somebody who is in the market already, you, I'm sure, would know all these would know answer to all these questions. So second thing we're going to talk about is common and obvious questions you're expected to answer. And third thing we're going to talk about is the best fit for investment, whether your business is a great fit for investment. So summarizing back, 3 things we're going to talk tonight is things you need to be ready with while reaching out to investors, obvious and common questions you're expected to answer, and last but not the least, the best fit for investment, right? So this session is for all the aspiring entrepreneurs and early stage entrepreneurs out there, because if you attend tonight's session, you will not only have edge over your peers, but you will also be able to have a plan of action in place which will enable you to get which will enable you to go out there and get money from the investors. It will basically give you a head start. And also, this session is for nobody, none other than growth stage startup founders. This is session that I've created for somebody who's already in the fundraising process. If you are somebody who's already in the process of fundraising, if you're somebody who's already a part of a cohort, about to go for a demo day, about to go for pitching, this is the session for you. So this is so I've already spoken about the kind of things we're going to talk about. I've already spoken about why you should attend this session, and most importantly, I've already spoken about who this session is for. So this is the broad context about tonight's AMA with DNK. If you are watching this and if you are ready, guys, make sure you drop your comments, drop your booms, drop your thumbs up in chat. And before we get started, make sure you like the video, and also most importantly, subscribe the channel so that you keep on getting the notifications for all the videos, all the lives, all the webinars, all the seminars, all the sessions we do for all you people out there. So make sure you like the video. Also make sure you subscribe the channel. Make sure you turn on the bell icon, because whenever I go live, you get a notification. So if you are ready, post your questions in chat. I'm here live for all of you. Make sure you keep on posting your questions in chat. Whatever questions you have, I will make sure I answer them tonight. And last but not the least, if you do not follow me on social media, if you want to stay in touch, if you want to see my journey, go and follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. All my handles are in the description below. My handles are also running in the ticker below. All right. So let's begin. I have set the context. I've told you what we're going to talk about. So let's begin, right? So I know this question is something which is very, very general, which is very, very obvious. But let me lay the ground for all of you who don't even know the difference between an investor, maybe like a formal VC investor, or an angel investor. Okay, so let me ask this question to you out there. How many of you who are watching this tonight, and maybe if you come back later and watch a recap, maybe you can comment and let me know whether you knew about this or not, and try and be very, very honest. Do you know a difference between an angel investor and a venture capital investor? Do you know the fundamental difference? What is the fundamental difference between somebody who's an angel investor and somebody who's a venture capitalist or venture capital investor? Let me rephrase the question here. Has this thought ever come in your mind ever, that how can a 22, 24, 26, 27-year old claims himself on social media that I am an investor, claims that I am somebody who has invested in big million-dollar companies, and you had no clue in your mind, how can this guy be an investor, because you think that he has not done anything yet in his life at this point in time. He is a very, very young guy or a girl, maybe. They don't appear to be wealthy. They are just like you and me, but how can they claim themselves as investor? I'm not sure how many of you have this thought has crossed in mind of how many of you people sitting out there. But this is one very, very common thing that I see in the startup ecosystem, that entrepreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs are not just confused about, but also fascinated about it. How can somebody be an investor at such an early stage? This is the reason why I want to lay the ground here for all of you. There's a huge difference between a venture capitalist and an angel investor, right? Generally, and tonight we're going to talk about angel investor, but I'll also give you some uncertain perspective from the venture capitalist point of view as well, right? So who's an angel investor? Let's first understand that, right? So an angel investor, generally, an angel investor is somebody who's an individual who provides capital for business. Now let's decode this language, let's deconstruct this entire definition, and let's go word by word and line by line. This guy is an individual. Most important thing to understand, he is not a company, he is not a firm, he is not an LLP, he is not a institution that is doing investment. This guy is generally an individual who is providing money. When I say capital, money to businesses, right? Typically, why? Because he is giving them money either in form of debt or equity, either as loan or as a part of ownership. This guy is an individual giving money to companies either in exchange of debt, which is technically loan, or equity, right? Now, generally, angel investors usually give support to startups at the initial moment and when and most investors are not preparing to back them up. So typically, these are individuals who are rich, HNI, wealthy individuals, generally entrepreneurs themselves, generally risk takers themselves, generally who know how to build a business, and they back those companies at a very, very early stage, at a very, very high risk stage. The earlier you are in the startup game, the higher the risk you carry with yourself, the higher the mortality rate you have, right? I've already done a video on this where I've spoken about that, 90% of startups fail in first 3 to 5 years, and only 0.5% are able to raise the institutional venture capital fund. The logic is that these are the people, angel investors, and that's why they are called as angel investors, right? So angel investors are basically individual, wealthy, rich HNI, rich people who give money to company either in return of debt or some sort of other ownership. But most importantly, they give the money to a startup when most of the other people are not willing to take the money from them. Now, because the mortality rate is so high, and because they're investing their individual money, because they're investing their own money, they would want to mitigate the risk. They would want to literally go out there and scrutinize you from every nook and corner so that they know that their money is safe, although they're mentally prepared. Trust me when I say this, most of the angel investors I know are mentally prepared, and they know that 90% of their investment is going down the drain. But they are mentally prepared. They know that even 90% of the money goes down the drain, remaining 10% will give them enough money back so they can bet or back more startups. So typically, angel investors usually give support to startups at initial early stages, when most of the investors, typical institutional investors, when I say institutional investors, bankers, venture capital firm, more other industrial investment companies are not willing to back them up, right? So investors, and what do they want? They want to see a return on the investment. This is one another misconception in a lot of people's mind, that investors give money because they want startup to be flourished or they want more startups to be created, which is not the case. The primary reason why any investor is going to give you the money is investors want to see a return on the investment. Investors are in the business, and let us read this line very, very carefully. Investors are in the business of putting money into growing businesses so that they can make more money. They are, a bottom line is, they're basically looking for a 10x return. They're going to give you 1 rupee and they will be expecting 10x return from you. This is what typically generally is an expectation of an angel investor. This is what typically generally a profile of an individual, of an angel investor. He's a wealthy individual, generally an HNI, generally a top corporate, generally a top guy with a lot of income coming in. He is a guy who's risk averse. He can take risk. Sorry, not risk averse. He's a risk taker. He will go out there, put in the money, make big bets, and will give money to companies wherein formal institution investors are not going to back them up. This is broadly the profile of any angel investor. Now, once you understand who this guy is, or girl is for that matter, right? Whosoever this person is, it will be very, very easy for you to understand the mindset he carries. And I've already done a video called Understanding Investors Mindset. If you haven't watched that, go and watch that as well. But let us now talk about his expectations. So therefore, things investors look for, and these are the broad pointers that I'll be speaking about tonight, that you should remember. Things investors, especially angel investors, look for in a company before they come and give you the money. And in the next session we'll also talk about things that investors are a red flag for investors. So we'll be just looking at what investors look for. We'll be looking at what investors consider as red flags, and then we'll be looking at the most obvious questions, right? So if you are up till with me now, if you're able to understand what I'm talking about, if you are liking the session, one, most importantly, go and like the session, and also most importantly, go and make sure that you subscribe the channel, and also please make sure that you're leaving your comments out there into the live chat with me, right? So let's quickly move ahead. Let us start talking about things investors look for, right? The first thing that any or every angel investor is going to look for is understanding and clarity about numbers. I have spoken enough about this. Business is numbers, numbers is money. If you do not understand your numbers clearly, if you are somebody who does not understand the numbers, the projections, the figures, the margins, the sales, all these things that relate directly or indirectly with numbers, if you do not have understanding about numbers, if you do not have clarity about numbers, forget raising money. You will not be able to run your business yourself, and you will eventually die, right? So as an entrepreneur, it is very, very, very important for you to understand any everything about numbers. Now let me give you a quick example. I was just speaking with somebody this morning, I was technically in one of the sessions, wherein I was asked this question, that how in how much depth should we look at the numbers, in how much depth should we need to understand numbers or understand finance of a company, wherein I'm not a technical, or I'm not a financial guy, or I don't understand numbers, and I'm not a guy or a girl who comes from this kind of a background, right? Now my very simple logic behind this particular thing is, or my very simple answer to this thing is, the three broad aspects in any business you need to understand. You need to understand the technical stack or the technology you're trying to build on. You should be able to understand numbers, and you should also be able to understand the legalities of the business, right? Now when I say understand, you can always go and hire experts, consultants, advisor, people who can actually help you translate those things into much depth, right? But you as an entrepreneur should broadly understand these things from a bird's eye point of view, from a very, very broad perspective. So if you are an entrepreneur, understanding numbers broadly, understanding legalities broadly, and understanding technical things broadly are going to be very, very important for you. Else anybody can come out there and take advantage of you. So therefore you need to have broader understanding about numbers in your business, and this will help investors know that, okay, this guy or this person or this entrepreneur knows what kind of business he's building and what is the potential he's trying to create there, right? So understanding numbers is very, very important, number one. Number two, understanding of market with a rock solid business model. A lot of times entrepreneurs who build a business, or who are building the business in a particular sector, they do not understand a market, or they don't have any clue how the market operates, what the domain looks like, what the industry looks like, and they also do not have a clear understanding of the market dynamics from the growth point of view, from whether the market is hot or not, all those perspectives, all those point of view. And also they do not have a rock solid business model. Now the reason I'm connecting market with business model is because the business model will be a part of the market, right? When you're building some product for a particular market, you need to know how will you sell that product into that particular market, right? So therefore you need to know your business model very, very clearly. You need to know how will you make money while you're going to sell that product, and also you need to understand that the kind of market you're trying to get into, any and everything around the market, whether numbers, whether dynamics, whether other players, whether maybe partially competition, and how will you combat all of this is going to be very, very important for you. Therefore you should be able to understand, or you should be able to you should be able to learn about all of these things, all right? So understanding of market and rock solid business model becomes second thing that you should know as an entrepreneur. Now the third thing is innovative idea with defensibility plan, right? Innovation wherein is a very, very debatable term, right? You can always debate and discuss whether whatever any XYZ startup has done, whether it is innovative or not. But how can you defend what you're building is going to be very, very important from the investor's point of view. They should know that whatever you're building cannot be replicated. How will it not be replicated, and how will you stop your competition from beating you in the market, right? So it is going to be again very important for all of you to understand that what you're building is innovative, and you can create a defensibility in the market. You somehow need to stop your competition from coming out there and capturing your market basically, right? So you need a proper plan there. You need to answer this question about innovative idea, defensibility, and of course competitive advantage. You need to know these particular pointers, right? Then I've already spoken a bit about this, but yes, hot sector oblique a high growth sector, right? If you are an entrepreneur who's building a company into a sector which is not a hot sector, which is not a high in demand sector, which is not a sector where people are now speaking about it. It is a sector which is an old sector. It is a sector which is over cluttered. Let me put it that way. For example, if you are building a IT services company, if you are building a laundry business, if you are building another Uber, if you're building another Flipkart, days of Uber and Flipkart and IT services, and for that matter cafes, are gone. You will not be able to create, I'm not saying don't do these businesses, these are fantastic businesses, but you will not be able to create a high growth business in any of these sectors, because these sectors are already cluttered. Therefore these are not high growth sectors. So if you are an entrepreneur and if you are pitching to an investor would want to see that you are somebody who's already in a high growth sector, or you are in a hot sector, and therefore once they give you the money, you will be able to ride the wave and basically multiply that money into multiple figures. So it is going to be very, very important. If you are building a company in a not hot sector, you are in not in a great space, my friends, right? All right, now fifth, and this is technically really non-negotiable with investors, because they would want to know whom are they going to give the money to, right? So until unless you have a rock solid founding team, if the team, and I've already done a video, again reiterating myself, I've done a video on co-founders and founding team, and what is a great founding team, how to find a co-founder, what makes a great team, stuff like that. If you want to know any and everything, go to my YouTube channel. You will find a video on how to create a rock solid founding team, or how to get a co-founder on board. But co-founders are basically the soul of the business, because it is the founders, it is the co-founders who run the business. Investors would want to see, would want to know that you have a rock solid founding team with right experience. You may be great guys, but if you don't understand the business, if you don't have experience into that particular sector, it is a red flag for investors. So they want to see whether you are not just bunch of three engineers or three MBAs or maybe three sales guys. You have a right combination of a hacker, hustler, hipster, which is the ideal trio, or maybe two guys who are fantastic in terms of what they're doing. You have a complementary skill set, nature, and of course you have the right team alongside with you, so that you are able to go out there and raise more money, right? See the bottom line is, if you're able to justify all of these things to angel investors, the higher you go, the more you progress with your startup, the risk will be lesser, because with every day or every year or every financial year you cross, broadly what will happen is the validation of your idea or the validation of your model will be strengthened, right? At least I have seen this in my own business. And once this starts happening, right, more people will have more trust on your business, more investors will have more trust on your business, right? The higher you climb up the investment ladder, the higher you climb up the startup ladder, the risk gets less, and therefore your equity division will also go less, and therefore the most important thing for you will be that you start raising more money at lesser dilution of the company, right? It's a fantastic thing that you should learn about more, right? So solid founding team with right experience will convince your investor to give you the money, because it is the investors, it is the it is the founding team that is going to be given the money to, and not on anything else. All right. Another thing I want to quickly talk about is a convincing story. Now, story, narration, narrative, all of these things are a very, very important integral part of any business or any startup. If you do not have a convincing story, if you do not have an empathetic story, if you do not have a story that convinces people to come and work with you, and when I say story, not just only for investors, but of course we're talking for investors, therefore I'll emphasize on that sector, but also for your co-founders, also for your early employees, also for your advisors, also for your stakeholders. If you do not have a convincing story, if you do not have a fantastic story to convince others to come and work with you, it will be really, really difficult for all of you out there. So story is very, very important. Investors would want to see a great story, not from, if anything else, from a great PR stunt point of view. Once you get funded, you should have a fantastic story to tell to the media, so that you become the talk of the town, right? So convincing story is another thing. Seventh point I want to talk about is clearly laid out plan. An entrepreneur without a plan or without a goal will never be able to achieve anything in his life. So you definitely need to have a very clear cut, rock solid plan when you're going to invest your, especially, and also you also put this plan as a part of a pitch deck. And I'm sure if you have seen my pitch deck videos, or if you've attended any of my webinars or my workshops, you know that how important, or how, what is the importance of having a clear cut goal laid out, or a roadmap, right? So if you do not have a plan, you will not be able to convince investors, you will not be able to convince people that why should they come and invest the money in your company, because you even don't know what will happen to the money. You even don't know what do you want to achieve out of that money that you raise from them. So it is very important. Have a clear cut plan, have your milestones in place, have your KRs and KPIs in place, most importantly tracking matrix in place, KPI in place, so that people know, investors know, especially when you raise money, or what is that you're raising money for, and how will it translate into actionables on the ground. Very important, right? Now I think this is the last point, and then we'll move on to the red flags. Last but not the least, validation, traction, or proof of concept. Investors at early stage, because they're taking a very high risk with you, they would want to know whatever you're pitching to them works, if nothing else. I've spoken about this again multiple times. Investors do not invest in a idea stage company or a pre operations company. They're fine investing in a pre-revenue company. Even if you're not making money, even if you're pre-revenue, investors might come and give you the money. But if you are just sitting with an idea on a piece of paper, if you just if you just have a business plan, if you just have a PPT, if you're going to investors to get money so that they can fund you, nobody is going to fund you. Only your friends or your savings or your early stage money will be available to you, right? Typical angel investors and most importantly VCs will also not give you the money, because the most important thing they're looking at is validation, traction, proof of concept. They want to see what is that enables you to get this done on the ground. Whatever you're saying is hypothetical. They want to see whatever you're saying, how will you translate that into actionable on the ground. Therefore validation or traction or proof of concept becomes very important, very critical. All right, so if you are with me up till now, right, before I jump on to the next part, I would love to take a few questions from your side. If all of you have any questions, please make sure you start posting questions in the live chat. So whatever questions you have, you can drop them in the chat. And if you have any questions about all those 8 broad pointers I've spoken about, make sure you also clarify those doubts here in the live chat. So make sure you are asking your question in the live chat with me. All right. So let's quickly move ahead. Give me a second, folks, before we move ahead, because this is the next session we want to quickly pick up. Okay, water break. Done. All right. So, red flags for investors. Now, what are those 5 areas or 5 things that you should not be doing as an entrepreneur, wherein you face difficulty, or investor sees a red flag in your business, therefore it's a no for him, right? So let me help you understand and decode what are those 5 red flags that I personally think are going to stop an investor from investing in your company, right? So number 1 flag is unknown industry. What do I mean by that? I've already again given a bit of this information in one of my previous webinars. But if you are reaching out to any investor, please check out his portfolio, and also look what kind of businesses has he invested in before, right? Or what is the nature of investment he makes. For example, if you're reaching out to an investor who's making only fintech investments, it will be difficult for you to get money from him if you're building a agri-tech business, right? I hope this makes sense to all of you. So if an investor is if you are somebody who is pitching an investor about an industry that is absolutely unknown to him, or if he's not consciously making investment to that particular sector because he does not understand that, there's a huge chance you might not be able to get money from him. So unknown industry or a sector an investor do not understand himself, there are a few, I'm sure exceptions are there, where the investor would say, I'm a sector agnostic investor, I would invest in any business unless it's a great team and a great innovation and whatever, right? And that's again, I'm saying very subjective, and what I'm talking is very subjective. But these are at least broad guidelines that you should keep in mind. So in majority of the cases, what happens that if it's an unknown industry that investor is not excited about, if he does not know about, there's a huge chance that he will not give you the money, right? So unknown industry is something. So do your background research, do your background checks, and make sure you are checking profile investors profile so that you know. And now the next question that comes whenever I say this is, how do we check? I think Crunchbase is the best platform, angel.co is the best platform, or maybe LinkedIn is the best platform, and maybe Google search. Again, if you search about an investor, you will find news articles from where you can find the information in what company what investor has invested, right? So this information is pretty much in public out there. You can always go and find this information, right? So unknown industry becomes one, right? Second is not having enough conviction on the team. Now, this is again very, very important. If the investor is not getting convinced from your team, if they do not believe in founders, if they, and this is more or less in a priority order, once they do not understand the market, right? But once they understand the market, or even if they don't understand the market, if they're not convinced with the team, right, they might not give you the money. So conviction on team, conviction on founder, because again I'm repeating, investors at very, very early stage, they're betting on the right founder, they're looking for the right founder to be backed, right? They're not looking for any other thing, because if things go down south, if things fail, even a great founder, a great founding team will be able to navigate through the challenges. And even if they fail, a great team can always be backed twice or thrice, right? So not having enough conviction is a very, very red flag. You may have to make sure that investor somehow is convinced with what you're trying to do. There is enough conviction from his or her side onto you so that you are able to raise money from the investor, right? Third red flag is the idea is cluttered, idea in a cluttered market, or lack of competitive advantage. Now, this is again a very, very big red flag, right? It is 2021. And even in 2021, I can see so many guys still going after building generic e-commerce platforms, building laundry businesses, building grocery businesses, building delivery businesses, building hyperlocal businesses. All of these ideas have exhausted in the last decade, my friends, right? If you are trying to build a company into this sector, you might be able to build a company which is small, which can work in a particular city, maybe can scale up to a state, but you will not be able to create a national player, or you will not be able to create a very, very big startup which is like a highly scalable startup, like a unicorn, right? So therefore what will happen is, if you are already in a super cluttered market, becoming the leader in that market will be challenging for you. And therefore it is again a red flag from the angel investor side. And of course, if the angel investor is not going to fund you, how will VCs fund you, right? So it will be very, very difficult if you are sitting on an idea, if you're building a company which is into super cluttered market, or you do not have any competitive advantage, or if you're not building something which is out of the world, even in a cluttered environment, it will be absolutely very, very difficult for you to get the investment, right? This is the third red flag I'm talking about. Fourth red flag is no proof of concept. Now, it's a fantastic and a very, very important thing. A lot of times people think that it is just the idea that will fetch them the money, it is just the idea that will give them the business, but that is not the case. You need to have some sort of a proof of concept, even in order to attract good talent for your business, even in order to attract good co-founders. You need to show some sort of validation, right? Investors will only give you money, whatever you pitch is purely hypothetical. If you don't agree with me, let me know, and if you agree, again, let me know in the chat. The live chat is running out there. Whatever you go and pitch out there is purely hypothetical, or a plan that you pitch, right? If you do not have a proof of concept of what you want to go and implement, it will be very, very difficult for you to convince any investor, right? So not having a proof of concept is a red flag. Nobody will give you the money if you are into this particular situation, right? And last but not the least, not understanding numbers enough, or lack of understanding of numbers. If you as an entrepreneur, you do not understand numbers, if you do not know the broad matrices, and if you are somebody who wants to learn about numbers, if you want to learn about what are the important parameters you should know about, I have done a video called important financial terms startup founders should know. Go and watch that video. Also, you can check out our Instagram and Facebook and other social media platforms on Power Deck. We started a series called Power Up Your investment vocabulary, where we are posting about one important term every week, where we are giving you the information about how can you level up your understanding of numbers and understanding of financial things for a startup, right? So lack of understanding of numbers is a very, very challenging thing when it comes to a red flag, right? So quickly repeating the 5 red flags. Red flags for investor: unknown industry, not having conviction on the team, idea in a very, very cluttered market, or lack of competitive advantage, not having a proof of concept, and last but not the least, lack of understanding of numbers, right? Now, if you want to learn more, this is broadly the session that I've prepared for you. Now, if you want to learn more, we have a few more things to discuss about. One is I wanted to speak about or talk about a few important questions. But before I jump on to answering those questions for all of you, before I start talking about the important questions you should know or you should have in your kitty in order to reach out to investors, there's something very, very important I want to share with you. If you are somebody who wants to learn more about finance, who wants to learn more about numbers, who wants to learn more about pitch decks, who wants to learn how to create an amazing pitch deck, if you want to learn how to create an investment ready pitch deck, right? What you should do is I'm doing something called as a power camp, right? It's a 2 day live pitch deck training workshop, right? It's a 2 day live pitch deck training workshop where I teach you how to create a pitch deck and also how to create a finance model. Give me 2 minutes to give you a quick brief of this, and we will move back into the sessions. All of these sessions that I conduct for you, the entire YouTube channel is run by the Power Deck team. Technically, they're the sponsors for my channel, right? So I quickly, and this is my company, of course, but these are two separate things. But quickly, give me a minute more to give you a brief about Power Camp. And also, if you have any questions about PowerCamp, the chat is still open. You can let me know or ask those questions to me. And also, there's a live video on a website. I've already given the PowerCamp link in the pinned comment section. If you can see the live chat, you'll see PowerCamp link into the pinned comment section. So what I'm doing is on this 26th and 27th of March, I'm doing a 2 day live pitch deck training and financial modeling workshops. The modules that I'm going to cover in this workshop is on day one, and let me remove this for you so that you can see. Okay. On day one, we're having modules such as startup fundraising journey, pitch deck templates, types of pitches, and pitching best practices. Two important modules for every entrepreneur out there are: number one, you should know how to create a investor ready pitch deck. And this session, I take you deep dive onto every slide about and talk about best practices, what should go into that slide, what should not go into that slide, and what are the right content, what is the right content that should go onto that particular slide when it comes to making pitch decks. And also, most importantly, best pitching practices. This module is happening on 26th of March at 5 p.m. in evening. The second module, which is I'm doing on day two, is called how to create a financial model. Most of you who do not understand numbers, most of you do not understand financial model, most of you who are scared of Excel sheets, this is the session for you. So importance of financial model, hands-on training on creating a financial model, and how to integrate that financial model into a pitch deck is going to be done on day two. That is Saturday, 27th of March, 11 a.m. right? And if you can see, there are fantastic bonuses for you: one-line elevator pitch formats, value proposition frameworks, ideal pitch deck templates, customer persona templates, designer pitch deck templates, best pitching practices collection, and stuff like that. And on the for the day two, you have financial model templates for beginners, financial model templates for product businesses, financial model template for SaaS businesses, and of course, most importantly, access to a private members Facebook group, right? So yeah, if you want to book your slot, either you can go to powerdeck.in. I think the link is wrong there, powerdeck.in/powercamp, or you can go and click the link pinned in the live chat section. Go and click on that link, and you can get access to this particular workshop. Right now, moving back to the session, any questions, please make sure you're utilizing live chat well, and make sure you are dropping your questions in the live chat for me. Right now, let us quickly move back into our session. I hope you understood what I was trying to explain you, and let us quickly move back to the session and look at the broad questions you are expected to answer. I'm also pasting this link for all of you, and maybe I will put this link into the description also so that you can come and access it later. All right, let me share my screen back with all of you. So this is an article by Forbes which consists of 100 most important questions. Please let me know if you can see the questions clearly in the chat, or sorry, in the on the screen. I'm not sure if you're using a mobile device. If you're watching this via mobile, it will be not that clearly visible to all of you. But if you are on a computer, I'm sure you will be able to see all of these things very, very clearly. Let me make it zoom it bit for you. Yeah. So these are a few questions you need to answer to investors. Let me start reading those questions and let me start giving you broad context. So as I said, one of the most important things that anybody is going to ask you is going to be about the market, or the market size or market dynamics in which you're trying to play. So questions like how big is the market opportunity, what percentage of market share do you hope to get up to, who exact is your best customer, how long will this take, how do you come up with these figures, what is your PR strategy. So PR is a different thing altogether, we'll not talk about that. Who do you aspire to be like, what do you least want to be like, what is the right time for this product or service, why is this the right time for this product or service, and what is your marketing strategy. 2 to 3 questions from this section, 1 and 2, which is how big is the market opportunity. Every investor would want you to know, what would want you to answer that, because they want to know how big is the market. Second, what percent of the market share do you hope to get. Again, very, very important, because they would want to know how big this business can go in terms of capturing the market. And third, with this one, why is it a great time. Every investor cares for the timing, right? Look at the COVID times that we have been into. We have seen so many unicorns happening in COVID times, for a very simple reason, that everybody was at home. So edtech, fintech, edutech companies really became large, right? So they would want to know this thing, right? So why is it a great time for launching this company or business, right? Second, of course, I've spoken about traction. What is the feedback you have received? How long are users staying on your platform? What is the annual growth rate? What is the total growth rate? All of these are again very important questions. What I'll do is, in order to save time for all of us, and you can maybe go and check out the link I've already posted. Let me quickly scroll to all of them, give you a brief gist of what is written there, and then we can maybe wrap today's session. And the last point I want to speak quickly is, if you have any questions, guys, please make sure you're dropping your questions in chat, or else we will wrap the session soon, right? uh, Again, questions around team, right? Who are the founders, who are the key team members, what experience you have in the industry. Can you see this one, 6-1? What is the experience that the team has in the industry? Any of the founders willing to be bought out now? Again, very important. They want to check your commitment level, they want to check how sticky you are to the company. Very important. But these are 2 important questions: who are the founders, who are the key members, and what do they bring on the table. Very important, right? Talking from the competition side, who are your competition, what are their strengths, what is the entry barrier. See, what barrier to entry or scale are there for them, right? So you need to know, you need to answer about the entry barrier thing also. And of course, pricing stuff is also very important, right? Finance, nobody can beat the age old finance thing. Very important. You need to know numbers. I've spoken about it enough. What is your burn rate? How long will it take to become profitable, right? What are your customer acquisition costs? What is the customer lifetime value? If you do not understand terms like customer acquisition cost, if you do not understand terms like customer lifetime value, go and watch my video on understanding financial terms for startup founders. All those who don't know about that video, let me show you the link of that video so that it is easier for you to trace it back, right? Give me a second. And all those who haven't liked the video and subscribed to the channel, please guys, make sure you do that so that the channel gets a boost. This is the video I was speaking about. Financial terms for founders and funding financial terms. If you haven't watched these 2 videos, episode number 14 and episode number 15, if you haven't watched these 2 videos, please go and make sure you watch that videos. These 2 videos will help you in answering all these questions around most important and critical financial terms like acquisition cost, lifetime value, and stuff like that, right? Then of course intellectual property, although intellectual property will not be a very very big challenge at early stage because you haven't built enough intellectual property, but again understanding of intellectual property will be important for you at some point in time. So you need to know some sort of understanding, you need to have some sort of understanding about intellectual property. Also, if you are building a innovative business, if you're building a product that wherein IP or copyright or things like that plays an important role, again intellectual property will play a role. So you need a broader understanding about intellectual property, therefore, right? Use of funds, once again, numbers, finance. How these funds will be allocated, how much will go into founder salary, what is the overhead expenses, what's the expansion cost, what are the milestones. I've already spoken about it. Milestones, every time you're going to get question about milestone, this is going to happen every time with you. Milestone question will come every time, right? And last but not least is business model, right? Again, I'm skipping the corporate structure and financial round thing because it's too early for all of you to answer, right? Because currently for early stage people, corporate structure is not important, and existing financial round is also not important. You can skip this. But last but not least is the business model I want to talk about. What are the marketing channels? How do you plan to make profit margins, scaling impact profit margins, unique features you're working on, revenue streams, any and everything around business model will become very very important for all of you out there, right? So I hope you have captured the link already. I hope you have made some notes. I hope you have got a broad idea. So this is all on tonight's session. I hope I was able to give you some perspective at, or some idea or some point of view of what investors are looking for. Investment is a very very subjective, very very long and a very very tricky game, but if you play your part correctly, if you play your cards correctly, it will not be that difficult for you to go out there and raise money, right? So if you are able to create a model which is fundable, which is scalable, which is in a correct market, which is backed by a great team, which is a great innovative product, things will be super easy for you when it comes to raising money, right? Yeah, so that's all from my side. I have a very nice comment from Sangeeta. Thank you so much, Sangeeta, for joining in. I know these are long sessions and very very informative sessions, and but I love the long form of content. At least this gives me an opportunity to come and talk to all of you guys out there. So all those who have joined in, thank you so much for being here tonight. Yeah, thank you, Sangeeta. I hope this you like this and it will be useful for you. I've already given the link in the chat. And all those who have attended the session, if you know somebody who can get who can utilize this session, who's in the fundraising process, who would need more information on pitch deck, please recommend this channel to them, and please recommend Power Deck to them. All right, guys. So on that note, guys, let me end tonight's session. Uh, I wish you a great weekend. I wish you a fantastic week ahead. And I'll see you next Saturday live on 33rd episode of Aim with DNK with something new. Uh, and yeah, that's it. Okay, Chetan has a question. Let me pick that up as well before I wrap. Any view on e-products? Chetan, can you elaborate onto e-products? Are you speaking about something like domain hosting and stuff like that? If you're talking about all those things, I think that's a fantastic market to be in. Although when it comes to reselling hosting, reselling domains, it is not a very scalable model now because it's a super cluttered market with a lot of companies doing it, with a lot of resellers doing it. But it's a good business to be in because India is still at a 50% internet penetration rate, and more people, once they start coming online, I'm sure they'll be consuming a lot more internet going ahead. So e-product is a hot sector. E-product is a sector where you can build a great business, right? And if you want to elaborate, I'm still here. You can elaborate and let me know before I wrap. Or maybe Chetan, you can DM me your question on Instagram if you think you don't want to elaborate right now. You can DM me your question on Instagram and I'll see it there. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you liked tonight's session. This is Dillamas Khan signing off from 32nd episode of Amer DNK, What Investors Want. Please, please, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it with people who are building a startup. I'm sure by now you would have realized the kind of value these sessions, this channel is creating for you. Very soon, smaller videos will come for you. So I'm working on them. Okay. Okay, Sandeep has a very interesting question. Okay, before I wrap, okay, guys. So last couple of seconds before I, because I have wrapped second time and I've popped this question. Sandeep, very interesting point. Why have you planned these sessions on a Saturday night? Any strategy? Nahi, there's no strategy, Sandeep. Saturday is basically, I think it's a much relaxed time, wherein I think if you are an entrepreneur, this is the last push to your hustle, and this is the only reason I think Saturday night is the best time to plan these sessions. Monday to Friday, I'm also a full-time entrepreneur. I have my own business. I work there. A lot of you guys who are building a business, you are all also busy. Then I do a lot of sessions, webinars, paid workshops during the week. So I think Saturday night is the best time to come out there, talk to the community, talk to all the people out there, and have a great interaction. So that's the only reason why I do these sessions on a Saturday night. I have already run a poll on my community, and I've spoken to people that what is the time you want the sessions to be at. And in fact, most of the people, I don't know, we have less audience watching right now, but the input I got from most of them was keep on doing it on a Saturday night 9 p.m. I'm still contemplating on changing the time, but currently the only strategy was so that we all can chill out, talk together. You can ask me your questions. It's a much relaxed time. Tomorrow is a holiday because not everybody follows a 5 day policy. So tomorrow is by default a holiday. And most importantly, if you can't come Saturday night live and come and ask me your question, if you're an entrepreneur, you technically should not be one. That was the only logic, right? So I hope this kind of justifies the question, the answer to the question. And yeah, Chetan, can you collaborate with Prakhar ke Pravachan? I have seen Prakhar ke Pravachan's content, and I can invite him on my podcast. I don't know how many of you know about this second channel that I run, which is my company's channel. I would also suggest you, if you can go and maybe sign up or subscribe to the channel as well. So I've given the link to you. I do a podcast called Cracking the Code, but somehow I feel that the kind of content Prakhar ke Pravachan or Prakhar is making is not in sync with what I do. My content is a little formal, more informative, more on the serious business side. His content I've seen is more for kids, college yeah, guys and girls who are looking and looking at a casual content. Plus, I have a very specific niche. Business is my niche. I don't want to divert from that because I think that is where I can deliver value. I'm not a baba or a guru who can give you gyan on any random things. So I've seen so many YouTubers giving gyan on random things, which at least I don't want to do that at this point in time. And at least I think I'm not experienced enough to talk about all those things. Uh, yeah, that is, I think. Sangeeta, thank you so much for appreciation. Wonderful session. Thank you so much. And yes, please do recommend. I'm working to build this channel, and I'm sure I'm able to bring out all the value to you guys out there. And I'm also trying to help the community by giving back via this channel, right? All right, guys, it's already 2:15. We're already at a mark of 1 hour. So on that note, we will wrap. If you want to stay in touch, if you want to talk to me or chat, DM and Instagram. The ticker is the ticker has the handle, or you can simply type my name and find me. It will be very, very easy for you to do that. I will see you next Saturday. Thank you so much. This is Dilnawaz Khan signing off from AMO DNK. Have a great weekend, folks. And thank you so much once again for joining me tonight. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.